cold out, but it's warm in here. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Dhari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Dhari. Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Jamunatiravana Chadi. Jamunatiravana Chadi. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavi Hari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Dhari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Dhari. Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Jamunatiravana Chadi. Jamunatiravana Chadi. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivijagacharya Astatarasatasi Srimad His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Gaura Premanandi. For the weekend, can you bring your Mridanga? Because this one's a little clunky. He's a good teacher. Mridanga teacher. No, him. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 3, Chapter 23, Text 9. 3:23-9. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat. Okay, text 9. Evam pravanam babalakila yogamaya vidya vichakshanam aveksha katadir asit samprashraya pranaya Vivalaya Gireshad Ridavaloka Vilasad Dashitanata Natanaha Evam Bravanam Avalakila Yogamaya Vidya vichakshanam aveksha gatadir asit samprashraya pranaya vivalaya gireshad vidavaloka vilasad dashitananaha Nivam Bhuvanam Avalakila Yogamaya Vidya Vilakshanam Aveksha Katadir Ladies, evam, thus, Ruvanam, speaking, Abala, the woman, Akila, all, Yogamaya, of transcendental science, Vidya Vichakshanam, excelling in knowledge. Aveksha, after hearing. Gata adihi, satisfied. Asit, she became. Samprashraya, with humility. Pranaya, and with love. Vivalaya, choked up. Gira, with a voice. Ishat, slightly. Vridha, bashfulness. Avaloka, with a glance. Vilasat, shining. Hasita, smiling. Anana, her face. Aha, she spoke. Translation: upon hearing the speaking of her husband, who excelled in knowledge of all kinds of transcendental science, innocent Devahuti was very satisfied. Her smiling face shining with a slightly bashful glance, she spoke in a choked voice because of great humility and love. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is said that if one is already engaged in Krishna consciousness and is rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord, then it can be supposed that he has finished all the recommended courses of austerity, penance, religion, sacrifice, mystic yoga, and meditation. Devahuti's husband was so expert in the transcendental science that there was nothing for him to argue about. And when she heard him speak, she was confident that since he was very much advanced in devotional service, he had already surpassed all transcendental educational activities. She had no doubt about the gifts offered by her husband, semicolon. She knew that he was expert in offering such gifts, and when she understood that he was offering the greatest gift, she was very satisfied. She was overwhelmed with ecstatic love, and therefore she could not reply. Then, with faltering language, just like an attractive wife, she spoke the following words. This is a major section of several chapters in third canto Bhagavatam. In one sense, retelling many things that have been heard already, just as far as the overview of the Bhagavatam is concerned. And especially in this verse, the emotion, or as we've been speaking about, the rasa, that because he's not ordinary. Her husband is not ordinary, and she's not ordinary, and their loving exchange is not ordinary. Now, the personality of Godhead becomes their son, Kardamuni and Devahuti and Kapila Dev. And so far, this is just the two of them, husband and wife. And the understanding that's being presented is, because of his devotion, the perfection stage of his devotion, it is to be understood that he has already accomplished all the preliminary, or the benefits from the preliminary are his, because he's engaged in such elevated stage of devotional service. And that's an important teaching. There's the ladder, and then there's the top rung of the ladder. The followers of Vedic process follow the latter and make a connection with the top rung of the ladder at the same time. And this age of Kali, we just go to the top rung of the ladder, or we're invited by the process of chanting specifically, and from chanting, hearing and chanting other forms of devotional expression, we're invited to come to the higher stage. It's an invitation. And we just have to say yes. And saying yes means a whole series of things. It's not just yes and you're there. But it's the benefits to be derived, the main point again, the benefits to be derived from the step by step by step is included. Is it possible that one can go to the top rung of the ladder, or go to the top platform by taking the elevator and not be yet accomplished in the benefits that come from the lower stages, and successively one to the next, to the next, to the next? And the answer is, it's yes, but. Yes, but with faith, by watering the root of the tree and giving food to the stomach, those metaphors, it'll come. With faith. And does that mean we don't need to pay attention to other things? We just pay attention? And in one sense, yes, just pay attention to watering the root of the tree or serving Krishna. However, as one is engaged in service to Krishna, one may recognize, whoops, I've overlooked something. And then the course correction, the alignment of what I should be doing and how I should be doing and so forth is presented. For example, in Bhagavad Gita, before Krishna introduces bhakti, he introduces other means of purification. One of those other means of purification is the process of yajna. Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavir, Brahmagnau, Brahmanauhutam, etc. So the arpana, when offerings are offered into the sacrificial fire, is an offering to Brahman, Brahmarpanam. And Brahmahavir, the fire, the performer, everything becomes situated in transcendence. For those persons who the process of sacrifice is for everybody, for us it's the Sankirtan, yajna, but process of sacrifice or yajna is meant for everyone. And the sacrifice is, I have a tendency, my conditioned life, born with a material body, indicating I have desires to be an enjoyer, and so I'm awarded a body to be an enjoyer. And a theistic person recognizes there's this tendency to be the enjoyer. And so rather than the tendency of being the enjoyer is consuming me, let me offer the ghee and the grains ceremoniously accompanied by mantra into the sacred fire. It can, and certainly can be ritualistic, but if the spirit behind the ritual is what's important, and it's detaching oneself and offering to the Supreme, that which I've received from the Supreme. It's recognizing the Supreme. So there's stages of detachment and attachment to the Supreme, and detachment from the temporary, or the mindset of being the enjoyer of the temporary. So back to the question I just raised. Is it possible that one can be engaged in devotional service and continue carrying the consciousness that this is about my enjoyment? Thank you. And then, different issues within an individual or between individuals, interpersonal and intrapersonal, having conflicts. Certainly possible. It certainly goes on. And what's the cure? Well, the cure is Krishna is to be pleased. Bhakti is the cure. And supposing I'm not a Shuddha Bhakta yet, some of us may not be Shuddha Bhaktas yet. So what do? Well, you read Bhagavad Gita and you understand the principle of sacrifice and try to live your life in devotion according to that principle of sacrifice. You don't stop bhakti and switch horses or something. So we have Vaishnavas in our modern context have processes of sacrifice that we engage in on occasion, certain occasions, and the ritual, which, because one can look at it as ritual in kind of a pejorative sense, and it's just a ritual, or deity worship and other rituals that we do can be just ritualistic. However, the ritualistic part is fine, and the spirit behind the ritual is what's the essence. The bhakti is what's the essence. So if one can somehow capture the essence, then you're at the top rung of the yoga ladder, or the top floor of the elevator shaft, and the stairway is already accomplished. And so we are being engaged in devotional service by the mercy of the predecessor acharyas. And here we are, not qualified, but recipients of mercy. And so what are we to do? So back to the context, Devahuti is qualified, but she's recognizing her husband, the person unto whom she's married, is most qualified. And he, the most qualified one, Kardama Muni, has given her a gift, wants to give and has given her a gift, and the gift that's given is detachment, that's the previous verse, detachment from the temporary and attachment to the Supreme. He's her husband, but he's teaching attachment to the Supreme and detachment from the temporary. He is known, Kapila. Kardama Muni has a son. The son is Kapila, and Kapila teaches Sankhya, which is matter and spirit in the controller of both. So it's a science, but the purpose of that science, and same as what the father, Kardama Muni, he's certainly knowledgeable in Sankhya, not the propounder, but certainly knowledgeable as in Bhagavad Gita, the matter and spirit and controller of both. To engage properly in bhakti, one needs those three understandings: matter, spirit, the controller of both. And that means the relationship between us and matter, us and the Supreme and matter, and all the relationships that need to be properly understood and act accordingly, or align ourselves with the appropriate, the external, the behavior, and that there may be rituals involved, but then what's the essence behind those rituals? So Kardama Muni is giving her the essence, and his qualification match her qualification, her as the receiver, him as the transmitter. And what the experience is what we just read, that the emotion. She knows who he is, she knows the gift that's being given, she knows that she's the receiver of great fortune. he has touched her heart. She's going to express the next verses, her heart. That's the title of the chapter, Devahuti's Lamentation. But this next set of verses is her prayers to her husband. Sri Devahuti said, "My dear husband, O best of the Brahmanas, I know that you have achieved perfection." And he wants to give it to her. And she's ready to receive it. In part because she has proper regard for the process and proper regard from the transmitter of that stage of perfection. Supposing you're not married to a perfect person, or supposing the perfect person is married to somebody who's not a perfect receiver, then what? There's the sadhana, the practice, and the practice has external features, and then there's the internal features. And that's submission unto Krishna, that Krishna should be pleased by this practice, this sadhana. And so we're not so advanced. So we may, during class or something like that, think about how that's a good principle to live by. And the class is over and we go back to business as usual. So advancement in Krishna consciousness means you stay with it. And the more you stay with it, the more the effort is made to stay fixed in the principle of what bhakti really is, the more we'll leave behind the mix of contamination and enter closer to the place of pure devotion. And it doesn't matter ashram or varna or birth or nothing material. It doesn't create, it doesn't destroy, it doesn't obstruct. Provided there's the place of shelter and one is going towards the place of shelter. And if we can understand, like Devahuti is understanding, that gift that she's being given, whatever one's ashram may be, or whatever one's varna may be, we're being given bhakti, and the bhakti that's given to the followers of Lord Chaitanya is, at least in a seed form, Shuddha Bhakti, because that's what bhakti is. Anyabhilashata shunyam jnana karma janavritam. That's what bhakti really is, the seed of bhakti. So we're recipients. She's feeling what she's feeling, and she's going to express what she's going to express. But we have been given the same. And whoever may be the person who gave it to us, and whoever our immediate companionship is, fellowship or association or sangha is, according to relationships and circumstance, the gift is the same gift. And the opportunity to mature and grow that gift is given along with the gift. Particularly by our founder Acharya and his Bhaktivedanta purports, who sacrificed his life, his blood, his everything, to give that nourishment to the receivers. And why did he do it? Out of love. And specifically, not wanting people to suffer. Sarve sukhino bhavantu. People should be happy. And making people happy in the way that he was making people happy, or the way that a sadhu is attempting to make people happy. Here it's Devahut Kardamuni and Devahuti. It's, give the gift, and give the gift, and give the gift, and repeatedly give the gift. And the recipient can be qualified like Devahuti or less qualified like somebody else, but continue to give the gift, right? Up until the end. So let's see if there's some discussion. Canto 3, Chapter 23, text number 9.
I was thinking, how do we know?
How do what?
Krishna.
How do you know what?
To please Krishna.
How do you know?
Like one aspect is also that activities are all pervasive. Like it's a 24-hour, and how does that go?
Well, I was visiting somewhere, and somebody asked a similar question, and the answer I gave, somebody in the audience said, "That's exactly what Vaisheshika Prabhu taught me. How do you know when you're full? When you've eaten and you're feeling full, how do you know?" So, the three things that are mentioned according to Scripture are the results of the eating process, and similarly the bhakti process. When hankering subsides, so then that's because what? There's a happiness within, and so hankering for the temporary subsides. So that's like an external principle that might. But the internal is, how do we know that Krishna is being pleased? There's Guru Sadhu Shastra, because we don't know Krishna. But Shastra reveals Scripture, and Guru reveals Scripture, and Sadhu reveals Krishna. And from them we can know what pleases Krishna. And then that's the concept, and then there's the experience. And the experience is no longer, material hankering is subsiding. We'll say it reverse. If material hankering is increasing, you better hit the reset button. Recalibrate how you're going about conducting your business, your life. And then similar other refinements of speech, and refinements of respect, and refinements of this, and refinements of how to conduct oneself internally and externally. Those are signs. When those symptoms or lakshana, those characteristics are there, then you know Krishna is pleased. And if it's not, then you have to reset.
Maharaj, even within the most intimate relationships, as in this case between Devahuti and her husband, pure devotees seem to have this capacity to not allow the contamination of familiarity to seep in and destroy things. So I'm thinking it's not so much that familiarity is one of those things that comes with Kali Yuga, living in this time. But it's, again, purity of heart, or softness of the heart, that allows one to be grateful and refined and subtle, even within relationships that are intimate, that we often struggle with familiarity. Right? Wondering if you'd be willing to comment.
So you're making an observation, and I agree with you. Yeah, is there something I'm supposed to respond to? It's just a reflection, an observation. Yeah. There are things that destroy bhakti. even when you're trying to be a bhakta. We need association, and then one can be familiar with association and just have some problems. It happens. Someone else? Anyone? Yes?
Maharaj, I was intrigued by the word apala in the Sanskrit, which is translated to her innocence. May I find it? Yeah. It's translated as a woman, and then I looked at other synonyms, it means innocence. And then that's brought into the translation where the innocent Devahuti was very satisfied. I was thinking about our approach to Krishna consciousness, and you alluded to the fact that this relationship between Devahuti and Kalmurni is can be reflective of a relationship between a disciple and a spiritual master, teacher. Could you unpack what innocence looks like? What does it mean in that relationship?
The term can mean different things in different situations or applications. Like, for example, a child is innocent, even though they may be mischievous. They're innocent. They may be innocent, they may be malicious, but the innocence is even there may be something that's naughty or detrimental or something, it's with the intention to be pleasing and without the intention to be hurtful. That's just a common usage of the term innocence. But supposing somebody like Devahuti, she's a super advanced person. She knows, and she is, a very substantial person. She knows a lot, and yet maintaining her innocence is because of her innocence. For example, because of her innocence, she can appreciate what she's been given, and because of her innocence, she's not thinking, I deserve it or something like that. She's feeling the feelings that she's feeling. So I'm just thinking out loud, but I think that the innocence of a child, largely from observation, largely a child is very self-centered. It's I, me, and mine. And my senses and my happiness, and it's all about me, and childhood innocence is kind of selfish by nature, by conditioned nature, and then a much higher sense of innocence is hers, where she's an adult, she has understanding, she has maturity, and with innocence, with humility, she's not anticipating I'm a deserving recipient of all that my perfect husband has to give, but he's giving anyways, despite with my humility, despite my disqualification or lack of sufficient qualification, he's giving anyways because he's a perfect person. So that's a kind of so humility and innocence have its place as one matures in Krishna consciousness. Now I'm just speaking on the topic, but I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. Am I hitting the target or? You just want to hear what innocence means, the application of the term innocence in our devotional life. That's what you're looking for. Okay. It's kind of like, a blank slate. As we were discussing yesterday, all living entities are carrying some kind of conception of life, just by nature. The mind, and within the mind, there's a conception of stuff, or life, or this is good, or this is not good, this is pleasing, this is not pleasing. We have some conception. This is right, that's wrong, this is good, this is virtue, this is vice. We have conceptions. Innocence is like a blank slate. And who has a blank slate? We have conceptions. But a willingness, humility, a willingness to submit, whatever it is that I have as a conception, I'm willing to set it aside, because how has that been formed by an infallible person with infallible senses, and make mistakes and subject to illusion? And so my conception of things is not sterling. Therefore, with innocence, a blank slate. I come before you, my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, or disciplic succession members, a blank slate. Who am I? That's innocence, humility, and submission. The essence of on the right place to go with that innocence, then the person who is the teacher has a good student. Or, specifically, because the previous purport is about husband and wife. But, any relationship, then it can become something. Then it makes it even greater responsibility that as the teacher, or the one who's the giver, or the husband, or the somebody or something, that I need the qualification to give. And as I said before, giving without condition. Okay. Anything else? Srila Prabhupada ki